Welcome to Nonprofit Network, powered by Stokes Auction Group. We are a group of fundraising professionals that specialize in raising funds to improve communities of all sizes. Welcome to the Nonprofit Network, sponsored by Stokes Auction Group and also powered by Stokes Auction Group. I'm Shelby Stokes.
Kelly Schenfeld.
Paulie Schenfeld. Hello, fellow fundraiser fanatics.
That is exactly right. We're discussing all the serious issues, and I believe you're about to get into some eggs.
Yeah, I want to know what human looked at a chicken pooping an egg out of their butt and said, I want to eat that.
Not where I thought you were going with that.
Yeah, me neither.
I thought you were coming with the Easter hotness, but you know what? I don't know. Who was the first one?
So it was a caveman. It had to have been that said, and she picked it up, and what did they use for a frying pan? A rock.
Hot rock.
Hot rock, or did they just suck the innards out of the egg? I'm going to get sick.
Some animals there is an animal that does that. I think raccoons do that.
Do what?
Fry their eggs?
No, they cut.
Wow!
They will take the chicken egg and poke a little hole in it
and suck it out.
Yeah, that's what.
Well, why do you say like that's common knowledge? Everybody knows that.
Everybody knows that about raccoons.
Sunrise in the east, and
last week you said you ordered a chicken and an egg.
Yeah, which one came?
And which one came first?
Jury's still out. Jury's still
Well,
out.
they obviously didn't use Amazon.
Obviously. Oh, man, good stuff. Happy Easter. We're coming off of Easter weekend. I saw Mario. It's really good. It's a kid's movie. And
You are a child?
I am a child at heart. And I thought they did a really good job.
I didn't say it hurt.
Oh.
I saw the previews.
You are a
for
child?
it,
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Cool.
It's what I love about you most.
It's just mean. But the kid's really excited about it. You have a grandkid that's going to see it for his birthday, I think.
Yeah, I'm not going.
Why not?
Well, because we leave the next morning for
gotcha.
a little trippy trip.
Well, anyway. Well, good stuff. So, Easter happened. It was good. Family was good. It's always nice to see people. I mean, it's also a weekend off, so we got a little reprieve, which is nice.
That's kind of how I looked at it.
Yeah.
I said last week in our podcast that I'm going to be watching the Masters on
Off
Easter
and on
Sunday,
with the rain.
What did you
and
think?
that's what I did.
How was the Masters?
It was worth it.
Yeah?
It was definitely worth it.
Good day of golf?
It was a good day of golf. My guy didn't win. Jordan Spieth.
Oh,
he didn't.
Man. Wasn't the weather, horrific, too?
Yeah, Saturday it was horrible. Yeah, they had to suspend play, and then...
That doesn't happen very often, right?
Not very often.
No.
So they finished the third round Sunday morning, and then they did the fourth round Sunday afternoon.
Which is kind of insane, right? I mean,
That's a lot of golf.
That's a lot of freaking golf.
Yeah, it is.
That is real tough.
And Scotty Scheffler didn't do all that good either. He had a bad showing.
So did McElroy.
McElroy didn't do good.
Yeah,
Tiger hurt
McElroy
his
didn't
ankle
even make
again.
the
So
final round, did he? No. McElroy kind of fell off. Yeah.
But I'm sick of the rain. I am so sick of the rain that I have a song for all of you. I'm sitting in, cussing the rain again. These drops of heaven are getting on my nerves. Well, Lord, I know that it makes things grow, but enough's enough, and I want you to know that I think this much rain is for the birds. You're welcome.
hey, that was good.
It's my brother. Tim Frazier wrote that.
Did he?
It's a brother I haven't seen in 10 years. Probably will never see again. But so in case anybody wants to do that, it's already copywritten. But it's a really good song.
Wrote a song about it. Want to hear it? Here you go.
Well, it was a song about it. Well, here you go. That's Timothy Brian Frazier.
Look him up on Spotify later.
I wouldn't do it.
So what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about trust in the system, right? We are going to talk about, essentially we had something play out recently where there was a request to have a certain individual on our team do something they don't normally do, and it ended up blowing up in our face. So what we're going to talk about today is talking about the primary directive of the individuals on our team and what they are focused on doing, but also how you as either a member or a customer of Stokes Auction Group can focus on trusting the system in order to make it all work out in the end, right?
I'm going to be the part about Ringman, so you go ahead and do whatever you want. I'm ready when it's my turn to talk about Ringman.
Well, we've got 30 years of experience.
30 years!
We have learned a tremendous amount in that period of time, right? And we have set up a system and put it in place, and it has functioned very successfully for 30 years.
Right.
Now, society changes, people change, New ideas come and go. We're not against looking outside of the box and trying new things, but there also has to be cooperation on both sides to understand each other that, hey, if there ever is a disagreement, there should be a way to work it out rather than bust ties with each other.
Yeah.
But I think I kind of got off on the wrong tangent.
It's okay.
No, I think.
And when I was 5 and I was in kindergarten, there was a kid on the play set and he was not playing by the rules, and I punched him in the knee and off he went. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Basically it.
So essentially, we have people in place that are trying to make sure that we succeed as a team, right? So a lot of times when we are partnering with organizations, they start by talking with somebody about what the partnership is going to look like. After that is established, you come into conflict with an account manager or a consultant. And that individual is really a wealth of knowledge and works with a handful of individuals that really gives them a breadth of what you're trying to accomplish in that room. Now, sometimes you bump into situations where you think, okay, I need to talk to the auctioneer, I need to talk to the MC. But what we've come to realize is maybe sometimes those individuals that we have in those specific roles don't always cross-pollinate with being a good partnership in the lead up to an event, right? So essentially, the reason that we are systemized the way we are is to give everybody a specialty that they can really focus on. We make their primary motive something that's going to benefit long term, right? So when you take the consultant into account, what you're trying to do is you're trying to talk about the overall feel of the night, the run of show, what the event is going to look like when it comes together, and then also strategize on how best to leverage your group with the financial or with the fundraising opportunities that you have at hand. And that is really what we're focused on in the consulting phase, right? So me as a bid spotter or auctioneer might not be the best person to really consult on a certain thing within the consulting world. So really the system is set up to benefit the strengths of each one of these pieces that we have in place.
As well
Well
as there's
said.
two customers that we have. We have our members that are a customer to us, which is our auctioneers, our bid spotters. And we also have an obligation to educate them by our conversations that the consultants have, right? And that not necessarily every auctioneer wants to be a part of that beginning. And that's that customer relationship that we have with our members, you know? So we're the middle guy, talent agency, if you want to call it that, which is very
Sometimes,
true when it comes to auctioneers and ringmen and things of that nature and MCs. You know, as far as the consultants, their job is like you said, the overall picture of the auction, and it doesn't work for everybody, and that's okay, right? That's why there's so many different things out there, but it does work for us. It's good.
And like this is kind of a blended episode for both a customer and I think a member. And I know members and partners both listen to this podcast. But essentially the reason I think it's important to kind of focus in on this is if you are a team member and you're a bid spotter or an auctioneer or somebody that's even volunteering at an event, it's not in your best interest to come in and consult on how best to do things the night of, right? If the individual that's putting on the event has all these pieces in place that they've thought about and discussed at meetings time and time again, and all of a sudden you come in and come with a whole new brand new idea or a whole new spin, it can cause unforeseen circumstances that make things very uncomfortable, right? So I don't want to say stay in your lane because I think there's added benefit to giving input, but don't go in and think, okay, I'm going to Superman this and do everybody's job. And I think that's going to be what we're focusing on today is what's the primary directive and why do we all kind of stay in these segmented parts?
Yeah, you're not going to want to be a customer that 6 months out from your event wants to talk to your auctioneer and say, well, how many silent auction items should I have? That's not a pertinent question to ask your auctioneer. Mm-hmm. That's why we have instituted consultants.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. And I think it's multi-tiered, right? Because I think that one thing that we have noticed about an auctioneer is that they are normally in the spotlight. They sometimes have very big personalities, often have very big personalities, and then come across a little too strong at times. And the benefit of the consultant is being able to deliver that to a board or to a primary event planner or contact in a way that is subtle, yet kind of takes them down the path that they want to go. Now, is there crossover between these different segments? Yes, of course there is. But at the end of the day, we know that our team can sometimes be a great auctioneer, but not a great consultant. And I think that we've seen that play out from time to time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about bid spotters.
Okay, let's talk about bid spotters.
Did you bring a whiteboard for this?
I have a picture.
Uh-oh.
We are going to talk about bid spotters.
Here. Yes.
Right now. You're fine, Paul. Just stay right there. I need some. This is a whiteboard.
This is a whiteboard.
This is the stage. This is the room. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Get me another color, Shelby. Let's go with red. If you are a bid spotter, do you understand what I'm trying to say? And your auctioneer is right here. And you're on the floor and you're starting your night right here. Let's say there's 2 bid spotters. And this is where the money is. You are not here. You are not here. You are here, you are here, you are here. Then the auctioneer sees the money over here. You are no longer there. You are now over here trying to get money again here and over here. And then you go down here and then you cross over when it's your turn.
John Madden couldn't have done better himself.
And then you bring it back around to your auctioneer, which is back up front here. And you're going to this table, circling around to that table, bring it over here in the night there, and you have a successful deal.
Oh, okay.
So that if you want me to take a picture of that, it's very clear.
When do we
and
steal
concise.
second on this part? Okay. Cool. We don't.
Okay.
Okay.
Took a lot of energy.
When do we steal?
So I mean,
the
what
point
you're
is-
getting at is like the primary motive of the bid spotter
Is
to be a extension of the auctioneer.
Yes.
Is what you're getting at.
Yeah.
So when you say don't stand between the bidder and the auctioneer, you're basically saying allow the auctioneer to connect with said bidder.
I believe that the job of a ringman, a quality ringman, is to locate new pots of money for that auctioneer because he or she are going to be working that crowd. I'll just use my husband as an example. If he is in the line of sight with somebody and he knows that I am out of his way and somewhere else, I'm going and getting money somewhere else. And
So if he's
I don't need to
engaged-
be heard.
If he's engaging with a bidder, they're currently in second place. He's trying to get them to bid to become first place.
I'm
again.
out of their way.
You, as a bid spotter, are not standing right there because you don't need to be there in that environment.
Right.
Because
Now,
Mark's got his back turned to 45% of the audience.
yes.
You better have your eyes back here.
As well as you never know, try to find your donors, which this is, all the people that are watching this that are ringmen of any amount of years. You also never know when somebody's going to say we can double that. Right? So you do have an obligation when he is working those 2 bidders to go to one of the bidders, or go to the donor and say, can we double this and do that? That's the only time, in my opinion, you should be there.
That's why it is so important to recognize the donors of the item.
It is before the
Bill
night starts.
and Sally Jones are here.
Yeah.
They donated this trip to Hawaii. Bill and Sally, where are you?
Yes.
And then they raise their hand, and now
I can
the
see
bid
them.
spotter now knows
Yep.
that if this thing goes for crazy money, I'm going to that table
That's
and I'm
right.
talking to those 2 to get a double
Right.
done.
Yeah, and I think like part of the reason the bid spotter doesn't get the kudos that position normally does is because a lot of people don't understand the amount of work and energy that goes into doing it well. I think that sometimes they can get a bad rap that they're just walking around hipping and hollering. That's definitely not the case. Like, you are essentially trying to ensure that auctioneer can communicate with those donors in whatever capacity possible. Right? And what you're talking about, the potentials of doubling, is essentially when that support person or bid spotter in this instance becomes the conversation piece between the auctioneer while they are doing their thing and any communication incoming. Right? It can be a double, but it can also be a surprise package. It can be a gift that wasn't pre-planted prior to that moment taking place. So the reason, getting back to where I started with this, that the bid spotter is so underrated is because a good support person to any auctioneer is going to do whatever they need to do to make sure that auctioneer can get in the zone and be able to execute well.
Yeah, and
that is what their goal is. That is
Right.
their primary directive.
And auctioneers need to make sure that they are including that bid spotter as a team. You know, sometimes I think that gets missed as well. Well, not in my house, obviously, but that's just because it knows better.
But I mean, honestly, like, you have instances where you're working with bid spotters that
Yeah.
may not be to the same level that you are because you have done it so much and you almost know where your auctioneer is going before they're there.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm not going to name names, but there are bid spotters that are not as well versed in the art of auction that
Yeah.
are not nearly as effective. And you see it and probably
Oh,
fill
yeah.
those gaps.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think it's important to be a team. It's important to get out of the way of the auctioneer. It's also important to redirect your auctioneer. Because if he can say, whoa, we got a new bidder, that throws another bit of energy into the room because I'm yelling over here. Even though he's working two bidders, I'm yelling until he turns on, you know? And then you're
And-
like, boom, then you just gave him more energy. So now
Right.
you might be working the bidder that he just left.
And also, like, I ran into this last weekend because I was working solo. But essentially, what happened was there was somebody bidding in the room, and I didn't see their bid. And at the end of the night, they came up and said, "You missed my bid." And I go, "Oh, I'm sorry," because I am very confident that I scan the room every time before I close out. So I didn't miss him at the end, but I missed him early, and he walked away saying, "You missed my bid," right? So even if I had somebody there going, "Hey, hey, hey," you're still allowing that auctioneer to feel connected with that group,
Right.
even if that bid was never taken, if that makes sense. So your primary directive being making the auctioneer communicate faster and more efficiently plays in all of these examples.
It does.
Yeah, it really does. And that's kind of what today is about, right? Like, each one of these pieces we're putting into place has its own reason for existence, right? We don't have individuals that are involved that have no purpose, otherwise they wouldn't be there. Right? And we've talked about the auctioneer enough. I don't know if we need to go any more in depth with that, but essentially, the auctioneer's primary goal in any room is to find the fair market, true market value of any item and also raise as much money as they can in the fundraising space. That is what their goal is. And normally that is done through talking, communicating, interacting with those bidders and making them feel appreciated, but also connecting with them to tie them to the organization.
Think about also what our consultants do. They basically do everything leading up to the auction. They have a knowledge set that's even broader than our auctioneers or our bid spotters or our MCs, because they know that role, auctioneer, bid spotter, MC. They also know check-in, check-out. They also know volunteers.
They're also
They
bringing...
know every single aspect of what's going to happen throughout that entire night, including what the auctioneers and ringmen are going to go through. They're also going to know what's going to go on in the back of the house. They are a wealth of information, which is why they're so valuable to us.
Yeah, and they have 200 or 300 auctions to draw from to give that wealth.
Yeah.
You know, they've seen multiple things happening at multiple events. So they see what works, what doesn't work. They can feel out your night and be like, oh, let's try this. This would be better, you know,
But I mean, also the consultant is basically what they're doing in those conversations in the lead up to the event is they're taking the bits of information that is going to inform the auctioneer on how best to proceed, right? For a while, we had our auctioneers that were actually consulting customers, and all of a sudden, they were spending 3 hours talking about, like, the color of the tablecloth, right? And that wasn't a beneficial input for the auctioneer to do what they do, right? So with those conversations that those consultants are having, they're essentially trying to surface the information that is the most pertinent, but also allows that information to be passed off and say, hey, here are the 6 things you really need to focus on in this room. Not, here's the 4,500 things that may come across your desk. Here are the 6 things you really need to focus on, and these are the things that we're trying to change, adjust, and improve on over last year. So there's a lot to take in with this. This is kind of a topic that is ever sprawling because we can really talk about each one of these skill sets. But coming back to the primary directive of each one of these positions, they're different. But the end goal is also the same in that we want the nonprofit to raise as much money as possible through the art of auction.
Yeah, and if you guys need copies of this, we can email this to
true.
whoever wants
Yeah.
that. I mean, it's very clear
Yep, we're going to
on
turn that.
what the
We're going to turn that into an NFT.
Yeah,
We're going to
yeah.
put it on the blockchain. People are going to buy it.
send it right to
We're
you.
going to do that.
I
Yeah.
like your comment about they've got 200 other auctions that
They do.
they've done that year or any given year
These
that
people
they
are,
can pull from.
yeah.
And historical data because we've been doing your event for 15 years. We've got historical data.
If they didn't have that knowledge, why would they be asked numerous times by numerous clients, what's trending? What's new? What's different?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's essentially watching these pieces come together is something that is pretty impressive, but also there's a lot of moving pieces, right, in order for this team to work together. So, I mean, I just appreciate, those out there listening, whether you're a member or a partner, whatever the case may be. Hopefully we brought some sort of value to you today. But we are about ready to go on our second push of the spring season. We had a little bit of a break in Easter, and we are Gatorated up. Did you get some rest this weekend?
Nope.
Nope. Okay, we're just gonna push forward.
Not getting any rest anytime soon.
I believe in us. I believe in us. But yeah, we appreciate you being with us. Thank you so much for all you do. If you're listening to the audio version, a review would be awesome. If you're watching on our video version via YouTube, thanks for hanging out and subscribing. Some shorts have been going up.
Yeah, they're not very good yet. I'm working on it.
I mean, Bodie Man is essentially
Bodie is
everybody
going to
loves
be a
it.
new ad. Yeah, Hot Chick Thursday's coming.
Hot Chick
Got that.
Nice.
Yeah, Bodie's got some more things he's going to say tonight in the library, I heard. I'm not sure what it's going to be about.
There's been whispers.
There's some whispers.
There's been whispers. But yeah, thanks for hanging out with us, guys. We'll see you next week.
Yeah. Be
See you
good to
next week.
yourself and the people around you. You guys, thanks for being here.
Yeah, be courageous and be effective. Be effective.
And of course, always go and do good. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. Ciao.